I got some record. Actually, this Feng Shui master say after this burial next year, there will be boys born into the family. And then late 1973, year of the ox, my younger brother was born now 51 years later. And at that time, the master said, due to this Feng Shui, he will be doing very well and he will be working for quite a high ranking in the government job. Right now, he is actually working as a superintendent in the Hong Kong police force. The Yin Feng Shui is actually very powerful. Yin Feng Shui can, give us a lot of wealth, health, good fortune to the future generation.
It could also be just your furniture. If you have small children and there's like a glass angular table and you're always thinking, are they gonna pierce their eye? So if a space is unsafe, if a space is cluttered, you won't be nurtured.
So we have Mrs. Leo, who had lived in a small cramped space for 30 years, and finally she had the money to buy her own house. She was standing in the doorway of her house with her grandmother's compass. She was holding that in her hand with her hands trembling, remembering the words of her grandmother. Her grandmother had said to her, "Chi flows like water. Block its path and misfortune pools like stagnant water. And if you guide it wisely, then prosperity flows like a gentle stream." So Mrs. Leo arranged her furniture with very careful precision. Her desk faced east to welcome the morning sun. It was at a slight angle, so she was to avoid direct alignment with the door. The mirror reflected the fountain to double the chi of the water. And people around her were watching her and thinking, what is this lady on about? Because she would arrange her plants very precisely, move them 1 inch to the left, move something else 2 inches to the right. And she would do things like place her sofa away from the wall. All these things made her neighbors very suspicious about her. But when they went to visit her, then they realized that there was this sense of serenity, the sense of peace in her house. And Mrs. Leo placed her grandmother's compass in the prosperity corner of her house, of her living room. And she actually knew that her grandmother would be so proud of what she'd done because she'd learned to dance with the chi. And she had built this sanctuary for herself where energy flowed as smoothly as the wind and as steadily as the mountains. Welcome to Wellness Curated. This is your host, Anshu Bahanda, and today we're going to be talking about our series, Mystical Practices for Modern Minds. And as we explore the ancient art and science of Feng Shui, I have two esteemed guests here. I have Master Edgar Lockton Jung. He's a 39th generation Yangon Feng Shui master and the San Yuan Gua holder from Grandmaster Tiandung's lineage. He's based in Melbourne. He's talking to us from Hong Kong. And he is really one of the only, I think he is the only 39 generation lineage holder outside of China. We're very grateful to have him here today. And he's a unique bridge between traditional Chinese Feng Shui and the modern world of Feng Shui. And we also have with us Marianne Gordon, who's a certified Feng Shui consultant from the Western School of Feng Shui. And she's a professional member of the International Feng Shui Guild. Welcome to the chat and thank you for making the time to be here with us today.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
So I will start with Master Jung. Can you tell us about your journey into Feng Shui? How and what is it like for you to be a part of this ancient tradition in the modern world that you live in?
The Feng Shui, actually, the region I was born in southern China, the region is called Chaoshan region, and almost everyone hear about Feng Shui. Feng Shui is very, very popular in our area. And when parents reach their mid-60s, they will ask their children to find them a burial place, a good burial spot. This is called a Yin Feng Shui. Yin Feng Shui is for burial. We bury the ancestor. And there's a Yang Feng Shui as well. Yang Feng Shui is for the living, for us the living. And there's a semi-Yin and semi-Yang Feng Shui as well. The semi-Yin, semi-Yang Feng Shui is for the ancestral hall for the ancestral plaque to put in there, and for the future generation to worship. So there's actually three kind of Feng Shui. But in Feng Shui will start my journey because back in the mid 1960s, back then, there's a China has a cultural revolution. Not sure you heard of this. The, from 1966 to 76.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, because they want more farmland, so my great grandfather's grave need to be relocated. And my father actually found a feng shui master to find a good burial spot for my great grandfather. Eventually, they find one in late 72, 1972. At that time, there's not allowed to practice feng shui, Chinese astrology. So my father engaged a master secretly. And also the burial was happened at midnight. I got those set of like the dates, the burial time, and the burial spot. In the past, feng shui master, they will have to write down what would happen after this feng shui is done. Like after this burial is done, what would happen in the future for the family. So I got some record. Actually, this feng shui master say after this burial next year, there will be boys born into the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1973, in the late 1973, year of the ox, my younger brother was born. Now, 50 years later, 51 years later. And at that time, the master said, this boy, because this feng shui, due to this feng shui, he will be doing very well, and he will be, working for quite a high ranking in the government job. Right now, he is actually working as a superintendent in the Hong Kong police force. So the yin feng shui is actually very powerful. Yin feng shui can, give us a lot of wealth, health, and good energy or good fortune to the future generation. And from when I grew up, I also observed this happen and make me to become one feng shui consultant. I've been doing this for a long time, been searching initially at the beginning. I also learned some, flying star feng shui, eight mansion feng shui, sanhe feng shui. The results was, sometimes very good, sometimes not very good. Then I keep searching. Eventually, I found my master in China, and as you mentioned, this is a Liu Jiangdong lineage, and I'm lucky to become a disciple of my master, Master Yu. He's still in China teaching as well, Master Yu, and I become a disciple, 39th generation, and that I learned the technique, which is bridging the flying star feng shui, the eight mansion feng shui, and they work well perfectly. And because in the region when I was born in Chaoshan area, people build a house with one standard house, based on the one module, and then build it up, can build it
Mm-hmm.
very, very big. And this small modules already done the feng shui in there. So in some village, thousands of houses with the same design, same height, same width, same style. And this particular style can be traced back to the Song Dynasty, which is about 1,000 years ago. And people may ask, what about this region? What's so good about this Chaoshan region? Okay. And in Chaoshan region, if we look at the Southeast Asia, the ASEAN, a lot of crazy rich Asian, they're actually from this area.
Mm-hmm.
In Thailand, 10 top richest people 8 of them from this region, from Chaoshan region. And actually Tassan also from, Tassan Shinawatra, the Thailand previous, the prime minister, he also from this
Right.
region. Yeah. So
Right.
we go feng shui affect long time. Nowadays, as a traditional feng shui master, because nowadays the architect they build a house any way they want. Some, they put a triangle, sometimes put a round shape.
Hmm.
And if we know the technique of feng shui, actually we can incorporate this feng shui technique with the modern building. We don't need to, hanging, coins, crystal, or waving cat decorates your house like Chinese restaurant. So it's a very satisfactory job nowadays because the feng shui they not doing the same as the old time with the preset feng shui. So the what we call the intersect, like feng shui is about the yin and yang. So the yin and yang sometimes they not work well. So that's why our health nowadays have some issues, in the modern city, modern life. But if you look at the old time, they're more healthier. People can live longer. So with the modern tech, modern, building architect, it brings some issues to occupants. But for with our technique of feng shui, we're able to help them. Like I've been helping many people, like people with fertility issue, people with health issue, people with wealth, job issue. So it is a very, very happy job for me. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Marianne, I'd like to ask you, your journey into feng shui was also very interesting, moving from the corporate world. So, what got you to becoming involved with feng shui and becoming a meditation teacher and giving up your corporate life?
Through my finance years, in my 20s and early 30s, I was working as a finance professional in New York City. And even though I liked it, it was very entertaining, lots of trips and everything. I was just crunching numbers and giving money to clients, which was great. But I had something tugging at me, and I felt like I had a wider purpose, and I wanted to, get back to something more spiritual, deeper. As a teenager, when I was 13, I had a run in with Feng Shui. My parents moved from their beautiful 18th century old house that had been built with wonderful proportions, and we had woods in the back and two streams coming down gently and a river in front and a pond. And we moved to this modern house, nice amenities, a pool, but my parents built it, and they had built it with angular features. The swimming pool was placed weirdly. It felt like the energy was terrible, and everything went south. So my parents had health issues, job issues right after we moved. And my sister had been studying to be an acupuncturist at the time. She's older than me. She's 14 years older than me. And she said, you might be having a feng shui problem. I said, what? I'm 13. And she bought all the books, she gave them to me, and she fixed our feng shui. And it's not that it was as wonderful as before, but definitely things stabilized. My dad's health got better. Job wise, it got much, much better. And so I had that experience. So when I was 33, I had my first child. And that's when I woke up to this and I said, I rediscovered Feng Shui to help people. I want to take my formal certification. And I did that. And as far as meditation, it goes back to the financial crisis. I was still working in New York and things were very stressful. They were laying off people left and right. And I was having panic attacks. So every morning I would literally check myself into the emergency clinic and be like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And the doctor was like, no, ma'am, you're fine. Walk on. And that's when I started meditation because I had to. And, I was doing a lot of yoga, physical movement, breath. So I immediately went to meditation. And that was such a wonderful, transformative moment that I decided to help people with that too.
Very interesting what you said about the house that you had moved from, because sometimes you walk into a building, and that's actually how I discovered Feng Shui for the first time. So, Master Jung, I want you to tell us a little bit about what Feng Shui is, and tell us a little more about this geomancy and how it came about in China.
Feng actually in Chinese direct translation is wind,
Mm-hmm.
as wind blow, and Shui is water. So it actually coming from this book called Book of Burial in the 400, I think about 400 AD, 400 AD. Feng Shui master Guo Pu wrote this book. It's a the first Feng Shui is appear in this book. The two words first appear in this book. And if we think about it in a bigger scale, we live in the world is feng and water. Without wind, without water, we all die. There's no way we can live. So if we think a bigger scale, that is the wind we need to breathe, and water we need to drink to survive. That's
Yes,
very
yes,
important.
yes.
For our house, the wind is coming from the door. When we open the door and also open a window, that's why they call window. And from the feng shui point of view, this door location is very important. The windows location also very important. And the water exit in our feng shui system, in the San Yuan Yuan Gua system, we talk about the exit point, exit water. Very important is the exit water. Imagine if a house with the leaking water coming into the house, and the water cannot go out, then the house will be flooded. Imagine our body, if we drink a lot of water, we drink water, but no discharge. What would happen to our body? So the wind and water is through the Chinese ancient sage. They observe the heaven and earth, the moon and the sun, the night and the day. So they come up the yin and the yang. So you can say also the wind and the water also can be the one yin and one yang. Water
Mm-hmm.
is yang energy, and wind is invisible, so it's a yin energy. So it's very important to our day-to-day life.
So is the main principles of feng shui, are they about balancing the wind and the water in your life?
In our system, yes, it's about balancing. So as mentioned, the feng shui is the yin and the yang, two parts. Only the yin and the yang, they mingle or they
Mhm.
connect, and there will be newborn. There will be qi. So, for example, the yin qi and yin qi, two together they cannot produce. Two yang energy together they cannot produce. So it's only the yin and the yang. So we have to balance this yin and the yang and make sure the yin and the yang they have a connection.
Marianne, you wrote a blog talking about the importance of aligning the energy of your house to that of your personal goals. Will you talk to us more about that and how someone who's new can incorporate that into their lives? Someone who's new to feng shui.
So newcomers, people who are curious about feng shui, often they want results fast. I want to be rich. So often they've tried other modalities and things haven't necessarily worked out, and they call me. So how I attract people to feng shui is I let them know that they likely have a qi blocker somewhere in their homes. I just know this from, even house hunting right now. I'm looking for a permanent home. 95% of the houses have feng shui problems. And what I know that, the builders clearly didn't care very much about the flow of qi. They care about maximizing profits and utilizing the square footage footage in a way that, oh, I'm going to put another bathroom there. It's going to cost more, it's going to make more money for me. I
They
let my
probably
clients,
don't even know about it. Not everyone knows about
they don't
geomancy
know.
and Feng Shui.
True. And I don't think when they know, they still put it in some corner of their minds that it doesn't matter, but it does. They know. Some builders even talk to me. They're like, show me a perfect floor plan. And I say, well, fine, it all depends on the orientation, but I'll show you a blueprint. And yet they're going to do something completely different because they want the stairs across from the door, or things that maximize their budget. So the blockages that I identify are, multiple, but I narrowed them down to 5. One of them could be, it's called killing chi, sha chi, but it's a little scary. I don't like to call it that, but it's a rush of chi that will make you feel unprotected. There will be a draining elemental imbalance. So an overpowering element, like, for example, we just talked about too much water accumulating or too much wood. These are the draining elemental imbalances we can see. The wrong directions, orientations are very important for people. They could be an incomplete Bagua map. When I was referencing my childhood home, the new one, there was a whole missing area, and that was part of the problems. There could be low vibrations in the home. For example, from inheriting an old house, that hasn't been renovated or cared for. And so all these 5 things I've identified are culprits in people not feeling their best. And when we fix that, the chi can flow normally again. And they will generally, my clients, experience a rush of luck in their lives. Now, to retain good feng shui, it takes a lot more work. That's only the first part. Then you really have to put in the time and live its philosophy. Foundations of inner balance, which I correlate with my meditation practice, and living a life in accordance to your own alignment, and how best, how you really feel grounded when things really flow gently, not like crazy, always I want to be rich and my bank account is swelling, but then the rest of your life is falling apart.
It's falling apart, yeah.
Yeah. So I want people to know that chi is everywhere, chi is contagious, and chi is always changing. If we don't understand that, we cannot retain good feng shui.
And chi, for those who don't know, we're talking about life force, life energy, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how long does it take you to go into a house and fix the feng shui? And I'd like to ask you both that question.
There are many situations that you can fix immediately, and some take a little longer,
And Master Jung, what would you say? How long does it take to fix the feng shui?
Depends on what they want. If for fertility, maybe take 10 months, or no, take minutes to produce a baby. But sometimes if you do correctly, about 4 to 6 weeks, so you can see, very smooth pregnancy or natural pregnancy. Even I have clients, they do 3, 4 years of IVF, and they fix their home, in a couple of months, they can, conceive naturally. Sometimes it really depends. If they want a long-term effect with the feng shui, they have to do a bit more. But sometimes if they want to have we see quick result, in feng shui, in our system of feng shui, the stove is very important. Stove and also
The
toilet.
stove, yes.
The stove, yeah, because the stove carry the energy. When you're cooking, you have the heat. It will activate the chi, the energy. So stove, if correctly placed, of course, they don't need me. They don't need me to do the feng shui. So sometimes it's not correctly placed, so they need me. So sometimes I will just tell them to use a portable stove. Just don't use that stove at the moment. Just use a portable.
So can you explain to us what it means that you're the 39th Yangon Feng Shui master. Explain what that means and what is the San Yuan Yuan Gua holder.
39 means from counting from Yangon. Yangon is Yangon is we call the first grandfather, grandfather of Feng Shui. And he taught three disciples. And Liu Jiangdong, our lineage master, Liu Jiangdong is the third disciple. And he was allowed to teach other people. The other two disciples, one is called Zhen Wen San, the other one is Liao Zai San. These two, they only can teach this particular technique to their own children and their own family lineage. But Liu Jiangdong allowed to teach the outside people. So from Liu Jiangdong, then they have two branches. One is his son-in-law. The son-in-law has one branch. His own son has one branch. My master's master, he is a Feng Shui fanatic, Back in the, we say the Cultural Revolution, he was sent to, to do a re-education, to send to the village, and he was sent to this particular village. They are very popular with Feng Shui as well. So he met the 36th generation grandson of Liu Jiangdong. So he became 37, and my master became 38, and I learned from my master become 39. So it's generation by generation. And the San Yuan Yuan Guan, the technique, once we learn from a master, we're not allowed to write a book to reveal the core technique of the Feng Shui. So that's why our technique, you will not see from the normal books.
Okay, so it's a more detailed system that you follow, the San Yuan Yuan Gua, rather than the other system.
Correct. Well, if you've done the San Yuan Yuan Gua correctly, you can add the flying star in, you can add the mention, you can add the San He Feng Shui. But the San Yuan Yuan Gua is the fundamental layer. You have to do this layer correct first. Okay. Then you do good Feng Shui. And with the San Yuan Yuan Gua, we're able to tell who will be benefit, when this one will be benefit, how his benefit, where he will benefit. So
wow.
So there's the time, the where, what, how.
So it's almost like astrology in a way.
It's not the astrology, because we don't look at the personal bats or Chinese astrology chart. We look at the house, the 24 mountain.
From what you're telling me, you're saying you can predict a lot based on someone's house by looking at someone's house, right? Yes. But in the Western world, there are all these misconceptions about Feng Shui. One of the ones I hear a lot is, oh, it's just superstition. It's, if it makes you happy, do it, but it's just superstition. What are some of the big misunderstandings that you have encountered?
The most talk about is your front door face the back door. Your money come in and money go out.
Right.
Okay, but they don't give you the condition. What's the condition? What is the condition? The money come in and money go out. But sometimes if there's a good condition, money can come from the back door too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes money coming from the back door will be more than coming from the front door. Why the money going out from the back door? That's one I always like to, ask people about it. Secondly is about, should I put my door into a wooden door or metal door, or what color should I paint that door? In our Feng Shui, we talk about the wind and water, right? Wind is when you open a door, the wind will come in, the qi will blow in. When you open a door, the qi will not stop at the door and ask, hey, what material you're made of? You're made of wood. I'm not going to come in. You're made of gold. Have come in more. Same as color, same as the house number. When you open the door, the qi will not stop at the doorway there. Say, oh, you're number 4. You're unlucky. I'm not going to come in. Oh, you're number 8. You're very lucky. I come in more for you. No, the nature treat everyone equally.
Interesting. And Marianne, what are some of the misunderstandings you've come across?
In the US, I live in the South right now, and people tell me, but I'm a Christian. I can't do feng shui. The Bible says I can't do feng shui. I said, no, it's not a religion. You can absolutely do feng shui, please.
You both worked with in residential situations, you worked in commercial settings. Is an office situation very different, the feng shui for an office situation, from a residential situation?
Yes, I do a lot of commercial businesses, and if it's a big factory or headquarters, the proportions will be different.
Okay, thank you. And Master Jung, will you tell
Um,
us?
the principle is the same. The principle is the same, but for a residential family, we have to look at every member of the family members if we want to make sure every member is well looked after.
Marianne, I also want to ask you to explain the relationship between feng shui and our personal well-being. So, how can the way we arrange our house affect our mental and physical being?
At the Western School of Feng Shui, where I studied first, the first things I learned were we first have to be how to apply the principles of safety and comfort. If you're not safe, nothing's going to work out. You're always going to feel stressed. So safety first. It could also be just your furniture. If you have small children and there's like a glass angular table, and you're always thinking, are they going to pierce their eye? So if a space is unsafe, if a space is cluttered, you won't be nurtured.
Thank you. And I want to ask you about, where do you see feng shui going? How do you see it evolving, and how do you see it fitting into the modern home and office going forward?
I try to try to educate more people. And I actually work with quite a lot of architects in Melbourne. When their client, my client, want to work with feng shui, and I found in the Western architect, they are more open. They're open-minded. Like they will work on my suggestion, but sometimes some architect they will be very insistent on what they think is good for the client, but sometimes will create a little bit of conflict there.
I would love each of you to give the people listening one example of where you saw. I mean, I know you talked about fertility, Master Jung, but give us an example of where it was so apparent that what changed someone's life was the feng shui. Because you can't imagine. I believe in feng shui. I believe in vastu, which is like the Indian geomancy, and I believe in different forms of geomancy for the house. And I think that living in harmony with the environment is so important. But I get laughed at a lot for doing that because people think I'm a little crazy. So I'd love you to give us examples of somewhere where you know that it was the feng shui that worked.
I had a client who, same thing, fertility treatments for 2 years. They couldn't. And then finally they come to me, right? Last resort. And their bed, they had a situation where their bed was in alignment with the door, which was in alignment in the middle of their house with a big column. And clearly the column was the problem. And so we wrapped it around, we changed the bed orientation, and they fell pregnant naturally after a month, like the next cycle.
Wonderful. And Master Jung, you give us your examples.
2019, back in 2019, she's actually a doctor with a migraine. She cannot cure herself, with her own migraine. Then we look at the house, the door was open incorrectly. So I suggest close the door and open the door in a different sector. So she did it. She did it. And after she changed the door, the migraine gone.
Like you recommend, like Marianne talked about a pillar. Master Jung, you talked about the door, where the door had to be moved, the entrance door to the house. Now, what if you're living in a building, like in London, there are a lot of listed buildings where you can't do that. You can't move doors.
If it's a bigger size, we can divide it into two separate area to make to center.
To actually build it or energetically extend it?
So yes, you have to physically extend it to make it a bit
Physically.
bigger, to move the center point away from the original center.
Marianne, do you want to add something?
Yeah, you can use little fixes as well that can, little mirrors, or you can hide certain protruding angles and columns using mirrors and plants. You can wrap around a plant in the middle. It doesn't disappear. That's not an optimal solution by any means. But what I found is that when you start taking the focus from these problem, the beams, you could hang paper objects from a beam, or to redirect the staircase across from the front door, you could use a crystal or stabilizing rugs at the bottom. This is by no means fixing the thing, but it's definitely distracting and helping.
And before we wrap up, I'd love both of you to give people who are new to things like Feng Shui some simple tools that they can live with.
Mentioned earlier, safety. When you sleep against a solid wall, you feel more safe, more safe. And also for children, when you place the bed, it's best when they sleep in the bed, the left hand side, the left hand side against to a wall, which will make them more safety, more support, and they will be more confidence if put their right side to a wall.
Marianne, would you like to add something?
For people, I would like them to identify their blockers. 80% of the effects are generally caused by less than 20% of the causes. It's the Pareto law. So identify what may be causing the biggest problem, and generally things will go away. That would be my advice. And then there's a lot of imbalances you can look at: elemental imbalance, yin yang imbalance. That usually solves most problems, but it takes a little bit of learning. So the 5 elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. I would say learn about the elements and observe your space. Is this a completely gray? Sometimes I enter people's home and it's all painted gray or white, and then they have arguments, and I'm like, this is overly metal. You have to change this to bring in warmth and yin fire, or even just accents in red or orange, or add fire, because people, they like to decorate from Pinterest, like one color.
Thank you. That was very useful. And thank you, both of you, for your very useful suggestions, for sharing your wisdom with us. To the listeners, I want to say that this is not just about putting your furniture in a particular position or hanging crystals. It's more than just that. As Master Jung and Marianne both told us, it's about aligning chi, aligning life force, and guiding it wisely. And it so that it helps us lead a life which makes us reach our full potential. We all have huge potential. There's nothing that we cannot do. And Feng Shui is a tool to help us lead our best lives. So thank you for being with us today. May you live in harmony. May you live in peace, and may you lead your best life. Thank you.
So people come because of the curiosity around the tarot, but they don't really know what the tarot does. And so I tell them that it's like a mirror. So to imagine a situation in which they feel stuck, or they're doubtful about what to do or how to manage it. And I tell them to think about this situation and then ask me the question that comes from the art.
Then we did the session. I picked out the cards and the Tower card came out. And usually, when people see that Tower card, it's like, oh my God, it's like a big upheaval. But then for me, it's like, it's a big upheaval for the good, for the positive.